The stars exploded around Park Taeho's ship like angry fireflies. Warning lights flashed red across his control panel. Smoke filled the small cockpit, and he could taste metal in his mouth. His ship was dying, and he was going down with it. "Mayday, Mayday," he shouted into his radio. "This is Lieutenant Park Taeho of Earth Defense Corps. I am hit." "Repeat, I am hit." Static answered him. The raiders had destroyed the communication relay first. They were smart. They knew what they were doing. Taeho pulled hard on the controls. His ship screamed as it entered the atmosphere of a small forest moon. He had no choice. He had to land or die in space. At least on the ground he had a chance. The trees came at him fast. Too fast. He closed his eyes and held on tight. The crash was violent. Metal twisted and broke. Glass shattered into 1,000 pieces. When Taeho opened his eyes again, he was hanging upside down in his seat. Blood dripped from a cut on his forehead. His left arm burned with pain, but he could move it. Nothing was broken. He was alive. He cut himself free from the seat and fell hard onto the ceiling of his ruined ship. Every part of his body hurt, but pain meant he was still breathing. Pain was good. Taeho crawled out of the wreckage and looked around. The forest moon was beautiful in a dangerous way. Tall purple trees reached toward a pink sky. Strange flowers glowed softly in the shadows. The air was thick and warm, filled with sounds he did not recognize. This was not Earth. This was not anywhere humans had explored before. He checked his supplies. A combat knife. A small medical kit. Half a bottle of water. 3 food bars. His pistol was crushed in the crash. He had no weapon except the knife. Great, he muttered to himself. Just great. He needed to find shelter before dark. He needed to find water. He needed to survive long enough for someone to rescue him. If anyone was even looking, Taeho started walking. He moved carefully through the forest, watching for danger. Every shadow could hide something that wanted to eat him. Every sound made him grip his knife tighter. After an hour of walking, he found something strange. Another ship had crashed nearby. It was not a human ship. It was sleek and silver, shaped like a crescent moon. Beautiful even in destruction. He recognized the design from his training. This was a Lunari ship. The Lunari were one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. They lived for hundreds of years. Their technology was far beyond anything humans had created. They were proud and cold, and they looked down on younger species like humans. They called humans mayflies because human lives were so short compared to theirs. Taeho approached the crashed ship carefully. He did not know if the Lunari inside were alive or dead. He did not know if they would thank him or kill him for coming close. The door was already open. He stepped inside. The ship was damaged, but not destroyed. Emergency lights still glowed along the walls. And there, in the middle of the floor, lay a young woman. She was Lunari. Her skin was pale silver, like moonlight made solid. Her hair was long and white, spread around her like a river of silk. She wore fine clothes covered in strange symbols, even unconscious, even bleeding from a wound on her side. She was the most beautiful thing Taeho had ever seen. He knelt beside her and checked her breathing. She was alive, but barely. The wound on her side was deep. She had lost a lot of blood. Taeho opened his medical kit. He did not know if human medicine would work on a Lunari, but he had to try. He could not just watch her die. He cleaned the wound carefully. He applied the healing gel and wrapped it tight with bandages. He gave her water, drop by drop, when she moved her lips. He did everything he could. Hours passed. The pink sky turned dark purple as night fell on the forest moon. Strange sounds filled the air. Howls and screams from creatures hunting in the darkness. Taeho stayed beside the woman, his knife ready. He heard them before he saw them. Heavy footsteps. Low growls. Yellow eyes glowing in the dark. Predators, at least 4 of them. They were big, bigger than wolves on Earth. They had too many legs and too many teeth. They had found the smell of blood. Taeho stood up slowly. He stepped between the predators and the unconscious woman. Come on, then, he whispered. The first one attacked. Taeho moved fast. He had trained for years. He had fought in 3 wars. He was not afraid of monsters. His knife found the creature's throat. Hot blood sprayed across his face. The creature fell. The second one jumped at him from the side. He rolled away and stabbed upward, catching it in the belly. It screamed and died. The third one bit his leg. Pain exploded through his body. He yelled and drove his knife into its skull. The fourth one ran away. It had seen enough. Taeho fell to his knees. His leg was bleeding badly. He could see white bone through the torn flesh. He was going to die here. He knew it, but not yet. Not until she was safe. He dragged himself back to the woman. He wrapped his own wound as best he could. Then he sat beside her, knife in hand, waiting for more predators to come. He did not sleep that night. Every time his eyes started to close, he forced them open. Every sound made him ready to fight. He would not let her die. He did not even know her name, but he would not let her die. Morning came slowly. The purple sky turned pink again. The forest grew quiet. The woman opened her eyes. They were beautiful eyes. Silver with flecks of gold, like stars in a winter sky. She looked at Taeho with confusion, then fear, then something else. Something he could not read. "You are human," she said. Her voice was soft and musical, even when filled with surprise. "Yes," Taeho said. He was too tired to say more. "You saved me." "Yes." She tried to sit up and winced in pain. Taeho helped her, supporting her back with his hand. "No human has ever touched a member of the royal family," she said. But she did not sound angry. She sounded amazed. "Royal family," Taeho repeated. "I am Princess Yuna of the Lunari Empire, daughter of Queen Shin Heron. You have touched royalty. You have seen royalty bleed. By our law, you should be executed." Taeho laughed. It hurt his chest, but he could not help it. "I'm already dying. Those things bit my leg pretty bad. Execution might be faster." Princess Yuna looked at his leg. Her silver eyes went wide. She saw the blood, the torn flesh, the white bone. "You fought them," she said quietly. "You fought them for me." "I needed help," Taeho said simply. She stared at him for a long moment. This strange human, with blood on his face and death in his leg, this creature from a species her people called primitive and worthless. He had risked everything to save her. "What is your name?" she asked. "Park Taeho." "Taeho," she repeated, testing the sound. "I will remember that name. I will remember what you did." Taeho smiled weakly. His vision was getting dark around the edges. The blood loss was catching up with him. "That's nice," he said. "Wake me up if more monsters come." Then he passed out. Taeho woke up to the feeling of cool water on his face. He opened his eyes and saw Princess Yuna kneeling beside him. She was pressing a wet cloth to his forehead. Her silver eyes were filled with worry. "You have been asleep for 2 days," she said. "I thought you were going to die." Taeho tried to sit up. His body screamed in protest, but he managed it. He looked at his leg. Someone had wrapped it with clean bandages. The pain was still there, but it was duller now. "You did this?" he asked, pointing at the bandages. "I watched how you treated my wound," Yuna said. "I tried to do the same for you. I found medicine in my ship. Lunari medicine. It seems to work on humans too." Taeho touched the bandages gently. The wound beneath felt different. Not healed, but not dying anymore. The alien medicine had saved his life. "Thank you," he said. Yuna looked away. "You saved me first. I was only returning the favor." Taeho looked around. They were still inside the crashed Lunari ship. Yuna had made a small camp. She had gathered some purple fruits from outside. She had found more water. She had tried to take care of both of them while he slept, but she had done it wrong. The fruits she gathered had black spots on them. Poisonous, probably. The water was murky with dirt. She did not know how to survive in the wild. She had never needed to learn. "Have you eaten those fruits?" Taeho asked quickly. "Not yet. I was waiting for you to wake up." "Good, do not eat them." The black spots mean they are bad. They could make you very sick. Yuna looked at the fruits with surprise. How do you know this? Survival training. All human soldiers learn it. Taeho pushed himself to his feet. His leg hurt badly, but he could stand. He could walk. That was enough. Come. I will show you how to find safe food. Over the next several days, Taeho taught Princess Yuna everything he knew about survival. He showed her how to find clean water by following animal tracks. He taught her how to test fruits for poison by rubbing them on her skin first. He showed her how to build a fire using nothing but sticks and dry leaves. Yuna was a fast learner. She was also curious about everything. She asked hundreds of questions about humans, about Earth, about Taeho's life before the crash. Why did you become a soldier? She asked one night as they sat by the fire. Taeho thought about it. My father was a soldier. His father before him. It is what men in my family do. We protect people, even strangers, even people from other species. Yes, everyone deserves protection. Yuna shook her head slowly. Lunari are not like that. We protect our own. Outsiders must prove their worth before we help them. That sounds lonely, Taeho said. Yuna was quiet for a long moment. It is, she finally admitted. As the days passed, something changed between them. Yuna stopped looking at Taeho like he was a strange creature. She started looking at him like he was a friend. Maybe something more. Tae-Ho found himself enjoying her company too. She was smart and funny in her own way. She told him stories about the Lunari Empire, about the great palaces and the ancient traditions. She described worlds Taeho could only dream of. But she also listened when he talked. She wanted to know about Earth, about rain and snow and seasons. She wanted to know about human music and human food and human love. Do humans really only live for 80 years? She asked one afternoon. If we are lucky, Taeho said. That is so short. How do you bear it? Taeho smiled. We do not think about it much. We are too busy living. Yuna looked at him with something like wonder in her eyes. My mother is 300 years old. She has ruled the empire for 2 centuries, and she is always bored, always tired of everything. But you humans, with your tiny lives, you are never tired of living. We do not have time to be tired, Taeho said. Every day matters. Every moment counts. We cannot waste time being sad about death. We are too busy being happy about life. Yuna moved closer to him. Their shoulders touched. She did not pull away. I think I understand now, she said softly. Why you saved me without thinking. Why you fought those creatures without fear. You live like every moment is precious because for you, it is. Taeho nodded. Something like that. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the fire dance. On the 7th day, everything changed. Taeyu was collecting water from a stream when he heard the sound. Engines, ships, coming fast. He ran back to camp as quickly as his injured leg would allow. Yuna was already on her feet, looking at the sky. Raiders, she said. Her voice was filled with fear. The same ones who shot us down. They tracked us. Taeho saw them now. 3 small attack ships landing in a clearing nearby. Armed soldiers jumping out. At least 20 of them. He grabbed Yuna's hand. Run. I will hold them off. No. Yuna pulled back. You cannot fight 20 soldiers alone. You will die. If we both run, they will catch us. You are injured. I am injured. We cannot outrun them. Taeho looked into her silver eyes. But if I fight, I can slow them down. I can give you time to escape. You can reach higher ground. You can send a signal to your people. Tears appeared in Yuna's eyes. I do not want you to die for me. I am a soldier. This is what I do. Taeho squeezed her hand one last time. Now run, please. Yuna hesitated. Then she did something unexpected. She leaned forward and pressed her lips to his cheek. A quick kiss, gentle and warm. Come back to me, she whispered. That is an order from your princess. Then she ran. Taeho turned to face the raiders. They were coming through the trees now. Ugly creatures with gray skin and black eyes. mercenaries who killed for money. They had been paid to capture the princess. They would not leave without her. Tahoe had only his knife. His leg was barely healed. He was 1 man against 20. He smiled. "Come on then," he said. The first raider attacked with a blade. Tahoe ducked under the swing and drove his knife into the creature's chest. 1 down. The second and third came together. Tahoe grabbed one and used it as a shield against the other. He killed them both with their own weapons. 3 down. The fourth raider shot at him with an energy pistol. Tahoe dodged and threw his knife. It buried itself in the raider's throat. For down. But he had no weapon now. And 16 enemies still stood. They surrounded him. They beat him. They kicked him when he fell. Tahoe felt ribs break. He felt blood fill his mouth. But he kept fighting. Every second he gave Yuna was another second for her to escape. One of the raiders pulled out a long blade. "Enough games, human. Tell us where the princess went." Tahoe spat blood at his feet. "Go to hell." The raider raised his blade for the killing blow, and then the sky turned white. Ships descended from the clouds, not raider ships. These were huge and beautiful and terrible. Lunari warships. The most powerful vessels in the galaxy, soldiers in silver armor dropped from the sky like angels of death. They killed the remaining raiders in seconds. It was not even a fight. It was an execution. Tahoe lay on the ground, broken and bleeding, watching it all happen. A shadow fell over him. He looked up and saw a woman standing above him. She was tall and beautiful in a cold, terrifying way. Her silver skin glowed faintly. Her eyes were ancient and sharp. "So," Queen Shinharan said, looking down at the dying human, "you are the one who saved my daughter." "Ah!" Tahoe tried to speak, but darkness took him before he could say a word. Tahoe woke up in a bed softer than clouds. He opened his eyes and saw a ceiling made of crystal, glowing with gentle light. The air smelled like flowers he could not name. Everything was white and silver and beautiful. He tried to move and discovered that he could. His body did not hurt anymore. He looked at his arms and legs. The wounds were gone. Not just healed, but completely gone, as if they had never existed. Even old scars from previous battles had disappeared. Lunari medicine was incredible. He sat up and looked around the room. It was large and elegant, decorated with strange art and floating lights. Through a window, he could see stars and the blackness of space. He was on a ship, a very large ship. The door opened and 2 soldiers in silver armor entered. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. Their faces were hidden behind masks, but their body language was clear. They were not here to welcome him. "Get up, human," one of them said. "The queen will see you now." Tahoe stood. He noticed that someone had dressed him in simple gray clothes. Not a prisoner's uniform exactly, but nothing fancy either. He was somewhere between guest and captive. The soldiers put chains on his wrists, heavy chains that glowed faintly with strange symbols. He did not resist. There was no point. They led him through corridors of silver and crystal. Every surface was polished to a perfect shine. Every corner held some beautiful decoration. The Lunari ship was more like a palace than a vessel of war. They passed other Lunari along the way. All of them stopped to stare at Tahoe. Some looked curious. Some looked disgusted. None looked friendly. Finally, they reached a massive door that rose higher than 3 men. The soldiers pushed it open, and Tahoe stepped into the throne room. It was the most impressive space he had ever seen. The room was vast, with pillars of light stretching up to a ceiling that showed the stars themselves. Hundreds of Lunari nobles stood along the walls, dressed in fine robes of silver and gold. They all turned to look at Tahoe as he entered. And at the far end of the room, on a throne made of pure starlight, sat Queen Shinharan. She was even more terrifying than Tahoe remembered. Her beauty was sharp like a blade. Her silver skin seemed to glow from within. Her eyes were gold, ancient, and knowing, and they watched him like a hunter watches prey. Beside the throne stood Princess Yuna. She looked healthy and clean, dressed in royal robes. When she saw Tahoe, Her eyes widened with relief. She took a step forward, but a gesture from the queen stopped her. The soldiers forced Teho to his knees before the throne. "So," the queen said, her voice echoing through the silent hall. "This is the human who touched my daughter," whispers spread through the crowd. Touch between species was forbidden in Lunari culture. To touch a member of the royal family was an unforgivable crime. The punishment was death. "He saved my life, mother," Yuna said quickly. "He carried me through danger. He fought monsters with his bare hands. He nearly died protecting me." "Silence," the queen said. Her voice was not loud, but it cut through the air like ice. Yuna closed her mouth. The queen rose from her throne and walked down the steps toward Teho. Her movements were graceful, almost floating. She stopped in front of him and looked down with those golden eyes. "You are small," she said. "Weak. Your species lives barely a century before turning to dust. And yet you fought creatures twice your size. You killed trained mercenaries with a knife. You stood against impossible odds to protect someone you did not know." She tilted her head, studying him like a scientist studies a strange insect. "Why?" she asked. Tae-Ho looked up at her. He was tired of being on his knees. He was tired of being treated like a criminal for doing the right thing. So he answered honestly, "Because she needed help." The throne room went completely silent. No one spoke to the queen so simply. No one answered her questions without proper respect and ceremony. But Teho was human. He did not know their rules, and he was too exhausted to care. "Because she needed help," the queen repeated slowly. "That is all?" "That is all." The queen was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled. It was a small smile, cold and curious, but it was there. "Interesting," she said. She turned to her court. "This human saved the life of a princess. By our oldest laws, such an act cannot go unrewarded. But he also touched the royal bloodline without permission. By those same laws, such an act cannot go unpunished." The crowd murmured. They waited to hear the queen's judgment. "I have decided," the queen continued. "The human will not be executed. Instead, he will become a guest of the throne." Gasps filled the room. A guest of the throne was one of the highest honors in the empire. It meant protection, respect, and access to the royal court. It had never been given to an outsider before. However, the queen added, "He will remain here in the palace. He will not leave until I permit it." Teho understood immediately. He was not a guest. He was a prisoner with a fancy title. "What about Earth?" he asked. "My people will be looking for me." The queen waved her hand dismissively. "Earth will be informed that you are safe and well treated. That is all they need to know. It is not acceptable," Teho said. The crowd gasped again. No one argued with the queen, no one. But the queen did not look angry. She looked amused. "You are brave, little human. Foolish, but brave." She gestured to the soldiers. "Remove his chains. Give him quarters in the East Wing. Treat him well." Chains fell away. Teho rubbed his wrists and stood up straight. "I want to go home," he said. "Perhaps one day you will," the queen replied. "But not today. Today you belong to me." She turned and walked back to her throne. The audience was over. Soldiers led Teho away. As he passed Princess Yuna, she reached out and touched his hand briefly. A secret gesture, hidden from the queen's eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "I am sorry." Teho nodded slightly and kept walking. His quarters in the East Wing were beautiful. A large bedroom with windows showing the stars. A bathroom with water that cleaned him without getting him wet. A closet filled with clothes that changed color based on his mood. Everything was comfortable and luxurious, but the door would not open from the inside. A golden cage was still a cage. Teho sat by the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, his home, his family, his life. He wondered if he would ever see them again. Days passed. Servants brought him food 3 times a day. They were polite but distant. They answered his questions with short responses and left as quickly as possible. No one told him what was happening. No one told him how long he would stay. He was trapped in beautiful silence. On the fifth night, his door opened unexpectedly. Princess Yuna slipped inside, wearing a hooded cloak to hide her identity. "I should not be here," she said quickly. "If my mother finds out, she will be furious." "Then why did you come?" Taeho asked. Yuna pulled back her hood. Her silver eyes were filled with worry and something else. "Something warmer, because you saved my life. Because you deserve to know the truth." She sat down beside him. "My mother is fascinated by you, Taeho. She has ruled for 200 years. She has seen everything, done everything, owned everything. Nothing surprises her anymore. Nothing interests her. And I interest her. More than anything, has in a very long time. You are different from what she expected. Humans are supposed to be weak and selfish and afraid. But you are none of those things." Yuna looked at him with a mix of admiration and fear. "She will not let you go easily. She collects rare things, beautiful things, unique things. And right now, you are the most unique thing she has ever found." Taeho felt a chill run down his spine. "What does that mean for me?" "I do not know," Yuna admitted. "But I will protect you if I can. I promise you that." She took his hand in hers. Her silver skin was cool against his warmth. "You are not alone here," she said softly. "Remember that." Then she stood, pulled up her hood, and disappeared into the night. Taeho sat alone in his beautiful prison, watching the stars and wondered what tomorrow would bring. Weeks turned into months. Taeho's golden cage remained beautiful and comfortable, but it was still a cage. He woke each morning to alien sunlight streaming through crystal windows. He ate meals prepared by servants who never met his eyes. He walked through gardens filled with flowers that sang when touched. But he was never truly free. Queen Harin summoned him often. At first, it was once a week, then twice, then almost every day. She was hungry for his company, though she would never admit it. Their conversations were strange. The queen asked him questions about everything. She wanted to know about human wars and human peace. She asked about Earth's history, its art, its music. She wanted to understand human love and human hate, human joy and human sorrow. "Tell me about your family," she said one evening. They were sitting in her private garden, surrounded by trees that glowed blue in the darkness. "My mother died when I was young," Taeho said. "My father raised me alone. He was a soldier too. He taught me everything I know." "Is he still alive?" "Yes, he is old now, retired. He grows vegetables in a small garden behind his house. He says it keeps him busy." The queen seemed fascinated by this simple information. A warrior who grows vegetables. How strange. Not strange to us. People change when they get older. They want peace instead of war. They want to create instead of destroy. "Lunari, do not change," the queen said quietly. "We live for centuries, and we stay the same. We do not grow wiser or gentler. We simply continue." She paused. "Sometimes I wonder if that is a blessing or a curse." Taeho looked at her. In moments like this, she seemed almost human, almost lonely. "You could change if you wanted to," he said. The queen laughed. It was a cold sound, but there was something real beneath it. "Perhaps, but change is frightening. It is easier to stay the same. Easy is not always better." She studied him with those ancient golden eyes. "You speak to me like no one else does. Everyone in my court is afraid of me. They say only what they think I want to hear. But you say what you actually think. Would you prefer I lie to you?" "No, I find your honesty refreshing." She stood up and walked to the edge of the garden. The glow of the trees made her silver skin shine. "You are like a candle, Park Taeho. Small and brief, but you burn so brightly. I cannot look away." Taeho did not know how to respond to that, so he stayed silent. The queen turned to face him. "Stay with me willingly. Become a true member of my court. I will give you anything you desire. Power, wealth, a life longer than any human has ever lived. My physicians can extend your years. You do not have to fade like other humans." It was a generous offer. A tempting offer. But Teho thought of his father, growing old in his garden. He thought of Earth, spinning quietly in space. He thought of home. "I am honored," he said carefully, "but I cannot accept. My place is with my people." The queen's expression flickered. Something like hurt crossed her face before disappearing behind her usual mask. "You refuse me," she said. "I do not refuse you. I simply cannot abandon my home." Home. The queen said the word like it was something foreign and strange. Such a small concept for such a vast universe. She was quiet for a long moment. "Very well. You may go for tonight. We will speak again tomorrow." Teho bowed and left. He could feel her eyes on his back as he walked away. Princess Yuna continued to visit him in secret. She came at night, hidden under her cloak, risking her mother's anger each time. "She is becoming obsessed with you," Yuna warned one night. "I see how she looks at you. She has not looked at anything that way in 200 years. What does she want from me? I think she wants to understand you. Humans die so quickly, but you live so fully. You feel everything so deeply. She has lived for 3 centuries and forgotten how to feel anything at all. You remind her of what she has lost." Teho sat down on his bed. He was tired. Not physically, but something deeper. His soul was tired of being a curiosity, a pet, a toy. "I just want to go home," he said. Yuna sat beside him. She was close enough that he could smell flowers in her hair. "I know, I am trying to help. But my mother is powerful. Her word is law. Then what hope do I have?" Yuna took his hand. "Hope is what humans are best at. You taught me that. Even when everything seems impossible, you keep trying. You keep fighting." Teho looked at their joined hands. Her silver skin against his brown. 2 species that were supposed to hate each other. Yet here they were. "Why do you help me?" he asked. "Why do you risk so much?" Yuna was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft. "Because you are good. Because you saved me without asking for anything in return. Because when I am with you, I feel like anything is possible." He looked up at him. "Is that not enough reason?" Teho did not answer with words. Instead, he squeezed her hand gently. It was answer enough. Far away, Earth was growing worried. Lieutenant Park Teho had been missing for 4 months. The Lunari Empire had sent messages saying he was safe and well treated, but they refused to let him return. They refused to even let Earth communicate with him directly. It looked less like hospitality and more like captivity. Earth's leaders sent formal complaints. The Lunari ignored them. Earth sent stronger demands. The Lunari responded with warnings. The situation grew tense. War began to seem possible. 2 great civilizations ready to destroy each other over one man. Teho heard about this from servants who whispered when they thought he could not hear. He learned that Earth was building warships. He learned that the Lunari were preparing their defenses. All because of him, the guilt was heavy. He had saved 1 life and might cause millions of deaths. How could he live with that? He requested a meeting with the queen. She agreed immediately. They met in her throne room, empty except for the 2 of them. She sat on her throne of starlight. He stood before her like the first time, except now there were no chains on his wrists. "You wished to speak with me?" she said. "I know what is happening," Teho said. "I know Earth and the Empire are moving toward war. I know it is because of me." The queen said nothing. She waited. "Let me go," Teho continued. "Send me back to Earth. End this before it begins. And if I refuse, then people will die. Millions of them. Human and Lunari both. Is that what you want?" The queen rose from her throne and walked toward him. She stopped very close, looking down at him with those ancient eyes. "What I want," she said softly, "is to understand. I have ruled an empire for 2 centuries. I have seen stars born and die. I have watched species rise and fall. And yet I cannot understand one small human who would rather die than stay in paradise." "This is not paradise," Teho said. "It is a prison. A beautiful prison, but a prison nonetheless. No amount of luxury can replace freedom. No amount of years can replace home. You would choose a short life on your dusty planet over eternal life here? Yes. The queen stared at him. Something changed in her eyes. Something cracked. You really mean it? She whispered. I do. She turned away. When she spoke again, her voice was strange. Almost broken. Could force you to stay. I could ignore Earth's threats and keep you here forever. No one in the universe could stop me, then why don't you? She was silent for a long time. When she finally answered, she sounded almost surprised by her own words. Because forcing you would destroy what makes you valuable. You burn so brightly because you are free. Cage a flame, and it dies. She sighed. I have caged many things in my long life. I do not wish to cage another. Teho felt hope rise in his chest. Does that mean you will let me go? The queen turned to face him. Her expression was unreadable. Perhaps, but not yet. There are things that must be arranged. Treaties to discuss. Protocols to follow. She paused. And there's one more problem. What problem? My daughter. She loves you. Anyone with eyes can see it. If you leave, her heart will break. And a mother does not enjoy watching her child suffer. Teho did not know what to say. He had suspected Yuna's feelings, but hearing them spoken aloud made everything more complicated. Give me time, the queen said. Let me find a solution that does not end in war or heartbreak. Can you do that? Teho nodded slowly. I can. Then go. I will call for you when I have decided. As Teho walked back to his quarters, he felt something he had not felt in months. Hope, but hope, he knew, was a dangerous thing. It could lift you up or crush you completely. He would have to wait and see which one it would be. The day of decision arrived without warning. Teho was eating breakfast when soldiers came to his room. They did not put chains on him this time, but their faces were serious. The queen summons you to the grand chamber, one of them said. All the noble houses have gathered. Today, your fate will be decided. Teho dressed quickly and followed them. His heart beat fast in his chest. He had waited months for this moment. Freedom or eternal captivity. Life or a slow death in a golden cage. The grand chamber was even larger than the throne room. It was built for important ceremonies and historical events. Today it was filled with hundreds of Lunari from every corner of the empire. Noble lords and ladies, military commanders, scholars, and priests. Everyone who mattered had come to watch. Teho walked through the crowd. He felt their eyes on him, judging him, wondering about him. The strange human who had captured their queen's attention. At the front of the chamber stood 3 thrones. Queen Horan sat in the center, dressed in robes of pure white that glowed with inner light. To her right sat an empty throne. To her left sat Princess Yuna, wearing silver and looking nervous. Teho stopped before the thrones and bowed. Park Teho of Earth, the queen announced, her voice filling the chamber. You have been my guest for 5 months. In that time, you have shown courage, honesty, and honor. You have impressed many in my court. You have impressed me. She paused. The chamber was completely silent. However, your presence has caused problems. Earth demands your return. They threaten war if we do not release you. My generals tell me we would win such a war easily. Human ships are no match for ours. Human weapons are primitive compared to our technology. Teho felt cold. This did not sound like freedom. This sounded like a death sentence for his entire species. But I do not want war, the queen continued. War is wasteful. War destroys things that can never be rebuilt. I have seen too many wars in my long life. She stood up from her throne and walked down the steps toward Teho. So I offer you a choice, she said. Stay here willingly as a permanent member of my court. In exchange, I will sign a peace treaty with Earth. Your people will be safe. They will even benefit from trade and technology sharing. Millions of lives will be saved. She stopped in front of him. Her golden eyes burned into his. Refuse. Return to Earth, and watch as I destroy everything you love because of your pride. The chamber erupted in whispers. This was not justice. This was blackmail. The queen was using the threat of war to force Taeho to stay. Taeho's mind raced. If he stayed, he would never see Earth again. He would never see his father again. He would spend the rest of his life as a curiosity in an alien court. But if he refused, millions would die. His father would die. Everyone he had ever known would die. How could he be responsible for that? He opened his mouth to answer, but before he could speak, another voice rang out across the chamber. I declare him my life bound. Everyone turned to look at Princess Yuna. She had risen from her throne, her face pale but determined. Her voice shook slightly, but her words were clear. By the ancient laws of our ancestors, I declare Park Taeho my life bound. From this day forward, his life is tied to mine. He belongs to me, not to the throne. No one, not even the queen herself, can take him from me. The chamber exploded into chaos. Nobles shouted in outrage. Guards reached for their weapons. The queen's face went through a dozen emotions in seconds. Shock, anger, disbelief, and finally something that might have been pride.
Silence.
The queen commanded. Her voice cut through the noise like a blade. The chamber fell quiet instantly. She turned to her daughter. Do you understand what you have done? Life bond is sacred. It cannot be undone. You are tying yourself to this human forever. I understand, Yuna said. Her voice was stronger now. I know exactly what I am doing. He's not even Lunari. He will die in 50 years, while you live for centuries more. You will have to watch him grow old and fade. Can you bear that pain? I can bear any pain for him, Yuna replied. He saved my life without thinking of himself. He showed me what true courage looks like. He taught me that a short life lived fully is worth more than a long life lived empty. She looked at Taeho with love in her silver eyes. I would rather have 50 years with him than eternity without him. The queen stared at her daughter for a long moment. The entire chamber held its breath. Then, slowly, the queen began to smile. You have finally learned, she said softly. After all these years, you have finally become worthy of your crown. She turned to face the chamber. My daughter has invoked the life bond, an ancient and sacred tradition. By our oldest laws, I cannot oppose it. Park Taeho is now bound to Princess Yuna and protected by our highest customs. She looked at Taeho. You are no longer my guest, human. You are now a member of the royal family. Taeho did not know what to say. Everything had changed so fast. However, the queen continued, there is still the matter of Earth. We cannot have a royal family member who is a prisoner in their eyes. It would be shameful. She thought for a moment, then nodded to herself. Compromise then. Park Taeho will serve as Earth's first permanent ambassador to the Lunari Empire. He will live here in the palace with my daughter, but he will be free to visit Earth whenever he wishes. He will be a bridge between our two peoples. She looked out at the assembled nobles. I will sign a peace treaty with Earth. Trade will begin. Cultural exchange will follow. This human has shown me that perhaps other species are not as simple as we believed. Perhaps we have something to learn from creatures who burn so brightly in their brief lives. The chamber slowly filled with applause. Not enthusiastic, but accepting. The queen had spoken. Her word was law. After the ceremony, Taeho found himself in a private garden with Princess Yuna and Queen Heron. The three of them sat together under glowing trees while stars sparkled overhead. You surprised me? Daughter, the queen said to Yuna. I did not think you had such fire in you. I learned from watching him, Yuna replied, looking at Taeho. Humans do not wait for permission. They do not ask if something is possible. They simply act.